Just drink. I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Film on Tap, where we've got the tap that never runs out. Today, we've got an interesting show. Not only because we're talking about the new Venom movie, or shall we say, the final Venom movie.
Hopefully final.
Yeah, we'll see. But since it's been a little bit of a slow couple weeks in terms of trailers and news, we decided to do something a little different. We're going to be talking about our most anticipated movies for the rest of the year, the ones that we're really excited to see before 2024 comes to a close. But before we jump into that, Nancy, Andres, how are you guys?
Oh, tired again. Sleepy.
Always tired.
I was thinking about it though, and this is, I think, the first weekend in like a month, I want to say, that I've actually had no plans where I have to like go somewhere, because I had
oh my god,
Andres' wedding. No, I'm like, I don't want to have that many plans. I'm used to like lounging around.
Stop being so social, right?
God.
Well, because I had your wedding, and then I had the Raider game I had to go to. Then I got sick. So I could, well, I guess I could.
So you had plans with yourself?
Yeah, I just lounged around. Then I had my birthday, and then we had another wedding to go to. Fucking A. Everyone's getting married.
Woman about town.
That's the problem. Everyone needs to stop getting married. That's the issue.
Well, everyone needs to stop falling in love.
Knock it up.
Well, if it makes any difference, I was the one that did it first. So there you go. So all these people, they can just sit down.
Sure.
Yes, you were the first person to ever get married, Andre.
Yeah, first person.
In the
record books.
whole universe. Yeah.
It's a big responsibility, guys.
So it's nice to relax, though. It's nice to relax and hang out with you guys.
Aw, look at that wholesome moment. How about you, Andres? How are you this fine day?
I'm doing quite well right now. I might or might not have some news to announce within the next 2 weeks or so. So keep an eye on that. And then also, God, I've just been catching up on a couple of things here and there and trying to relax. And I've been playing a lot of Predator Hunting Grounds on the PlayStation for anybody that is a gamer right now. And yeah, it's taking up so much of my time. And the other thing too, I've been kind of going down this weird rabbit hole where I've been catching up on some of the books that I've been equating over the past couple of years that I've always wanted to check out. I just checked out Brad Gilmore and Mike Kalinowski's James Bond book, which is fantastic. And it was so good, it made me want to rewatch the entire Bond series, even including. I've got them all. The only thing is, do I have the time?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. But so far, everything's going great, and just catch up on some things here and there. Watching Penguin, as we were discussing right before the show. So yeah, it's all going great so far.
How about you, Tom?
To hear it.
Yeah, Tom.
I'm fine.
Also, what's in your shirt?
Oh, this is a Ready or Not shirt.
I see it now. Okay. It looked like a Christmas sweater at first. I was like, what is happening?
Well, I mean, we are in the holiday season now, so.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I was about to say, what did everyone do on Halloween?
I just saw some spooky houses. I mean, what people do with their houses now is insane.
Yeah. Sometimes they turn their front lawn into like a murder scene, and you're just like, oh my god.
No, I think the highlight is that my sister is terrified of clowns, and we went to like at least 3 out of the 4 houses we went to were like haunted walkthroughs. Like it's super decorated, but then they also have like a haunted walkthrough. And there was one that was kind of like this like makeshift maze that they created, and then they had this guy dressed up in a clown mask, and he had like this like electrical wire that he would like just put up against the fence and scratch up against the fence so it would make sparks and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So literally we're
Jeez.
walking through, and like clowns don't scare me. I don't know. I just don't have that bone in my body where I get creeped out when I see clowns. Like they just don't affect me at all. But like, of course, like she froze and she's like, oh no, no, no. And then literally the guy, of course, senses her fear of clowns and goes right up to her and is like all up in her face and doing this. Like, and the best part is like, we're all going through the maze. And at the end, the guy somehow like ran to the end of the maze because it was just one live actor. And like the same guy sees her again. And I remember we're walking and then I just hear in the back of my ear, someone screaming, oh God, no. And it was my sister. And the same guy went up to her and started like freaking her out again. It was just, oh God.
That's funny.
It's the little things in life. It's the little things.
Commitment to run from. I just imagine him from running from one side. Like,
yeah, like in my mind, I was just picturing him like just darting.
Yeah. That's fun. We just went to a bar.
It was fun Halloween though. was good.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, all we did was we dressed up Brody in our in his Rocky costume, which is fantastic in itself, and then we just walked around the block with him, and it was just hilarious, just seeing his little arms just going up all over the place, and then just like as soon as he was running, we took him out into the field as well for him to do a quick run. It was like the most funniest 10 minutes just watching him run around with that costume, and then we just came back home and watched the Batman, and I played more Predator. So overall, it was a pretty solid Halloween.
There you go. We finally made
No-
my dog Airbud. We finally did it.
Oh yeah, I saw
That's
that.
right.
That was
That's
amazing.
cute.
That was like 8 years in the making. I was like, how have we not done this before? He's
Yeah.
a golden retriever. This like writes itself.
Yep.
Yeah, Tom, like you'll have to send me that photo, right?
Oh, so good. It was so
Because
hilarious.
it'll appear right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at him.
Yeah, you take
He's
it. Look
so
at that.
adorable.
Look at that majestic creature. It was too big for him too, so he kept like tripping on it. It was so funny.
Aw, poor baby.
Oh yeah. No, that was the thing. Is that with Brody's Rocky costume? I had actually bought one for him like over a month ago when they first went on sale, and then the costume ended up being too big for him. So we had to like literally start going to all these different Targets to see if they had his size in stock, and we just happened to be in the one place like 45 minutes away, seeing a movie somewhere, and then we're like, "Holy shit, there it is! Let's grab it." So
yeah,
yes.
no, it was a dream come true. He's the best.
There you go.
But yeah, so I'm glad we all had a good Halloween. Glad we're all doing good. But speaking of fun stuff, let's delve into the rest of this calendar for 2024. We got some big movies hitting theaters in the next few months to wrap up 2024. We're going to be talking about the ones that we're looking forward to most, maybe some big ones, maybe some ones that aren't on a lot of people's radar. Who knows? So yeah, we could just bounce this around. Maybe we'll start with Nancy on this one. Maybe toss out a movie or two that you're looking forward to within the next
I
few
mean,
months. Go for it.
I think the one that we all are looking forward to is Nosferatu. Like,
Oh, fuck.
I saw the
Yeah.
I saw the
Dude.
trailer again before Venom. I was like, holy shit, that
I'm
looks
so
good.
amped. You know what
Like,
the weird
it was
thing?
like-
Yeah.
Yeah, the weird thing is like I thought that would have more of like a niche appeal, meaning like, film nerds like us would like be dying to see it, but like the general public would be like, what the fuck is this? But like literally last night I caught up with my buddy and he's like, did you see the trailer for Nosferatu? And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, I'm amped for it. He's like, are you going to see it? I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to see it. Like, it looks
Yeah.
fantastic. But yeah, I'm with you on that one. It looks
William
phenomenal.
Dafoe.
It
my
actually
gosh.
makes me kind of want to watch The Lighthouse.
No.
Oh,
Well, yes. You
yes,
still have
yes.
to watch it. We still have a
Yes.
bet, remember?
Oh, right. Wait, what was the
Yeah,
bet?
let's watch it.
I think it was not we. We are not watching it
I think-
again.
yeah, I think it was
I
something
am not
with
watching
me.
that again.
I forget.
It was if you didn't like it, I think you had to take a shot or something. Or if you liked it, I had to take a shot on
Right.
the
Exactly.
show. Something like that.
You know what?
yeah.
I'm gonna watch it before our next episode, and then
You have to be honest, though.
No, I
Well,
will be honest. I will be
Okay.
honest.
Tom, there is the Lighthouse is coming back to IMAXs for one day.
I'm not seeing it in
this
theaters.
upcoming
No,
week.
no.
Oh,
No.
this
kidding
one
me?
is so worth it.
It's not.
Nah, I'm good.
It's not.
I'm good. I'm good with that one.
Oh man.
All right. Well, I'm looking. That's what I'm looking forward to now. Is you watching it?
Yeah.
I
So you
can
guys need to
hear
prepare your
reaction.
shot.
Oh yeah,
And
we've got
we'll
tons of liquor here, so that's fine.
right.
I've got tons of liquor waiting for the results on Tuesday night. So
yeah,
there
Tuesday
you
night
go.
in my family is going to be very similar. My dad's like, we're drinking, right? I was like, I guess.
Yeah,
They
it's
just
like
go
guys,
out
go
to a
vote.
movie or something.
Like I remember, I think it was the last election. It was 2 elections ago when Trump won. My dad, I remember it was like this image is seared into my memory. It's like he was sitting in like front of the TV. Everyone had left the room, and he was just sitting there staring at it with a whiskey sour in his hand, looking so depressed. And I was like, "This is America." It's like, here we are.
Yeah, my roommates at the time they had seen like my face after it was announced that he had actually won the election, and like it was funny enough they all went, you know that scene in Goofy movie when Goofy comes in after he finds out Max has screwed him over with the map and he's just not talking to anybody and he just goes straight into bed. I'm like, yeah, like that was you on election night.
Yep, that's
That's a
fair.
very specific
But
reference.
yeah,
Well, we had just seen it as well too. So I was like, yeah.
but yeah, Nosferatu. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, Nosferatu. That I mean, honestly, the atmosphere on that looks freaking fantastic. I love the fact that we've gotten so many posters for that movie, but we haven't gotten like, I don't know, really too much of a look at even what Sarsgaard is going to look like as Count Orlok. So that's honestly, they are nailing the marketing for this one, and
I
I'm
mean,
like,
it
yeah,
looks so good. I don't. Well, at this point, it's like he could look like a fucking fish for all I care. Like
Yeah,
it's
no,
probably still gonna be
I'm
good.
happy keeping him in the shadows. Like, fuck yeah. Like the rest of
Yeah.
it looks so good, it doesn't matter. I'm sure he'll look fantastic.
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
Nosferatu, I can't wait for that one. That's gonna be a nice Christmas treat. That's what I'm gonna be seeing Christmas time, 100%.
oh yeah, Nosferatu is definitely sort of the it's the counter programming on every Christmas that's like, yeah, that's the thing that I kind of feel is not necessarily a kid friendly or a Christmassy spirit type of movie. But I will tell you the one that I'm kind of really excited for this Christmas is Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to that
Right.
one too. I
Yeah,
get
it's
two
gonna
Jim
be
Carreys
fun.
for the price of one.
In the saggy flesh.
Plus, I get Keanu Reeves as Shadow. Let's go, bro.
Oh God, yeah, and I love the fact that Keanu has come out and he's like, "Listen, when I took over as Shadow, I didn't half-ass it. I did as much research as I could." And he was like, "I didn't play all the games, but I watched people on YouTube play them." And I'm like,
That's
"Man,
fun.
he's really going all out for this one." And it's like, for a character as rich as Shadow has become in the lore, like that's something where it's like, yeah, I'm glad we have someone that's at least committed. You know what I mean?
Keanu Reeves just stacking up iconic characters like Infinity Stones. It's crazy. I'm so
But he
happy
won't
for the guy.
but he won't end the world when he brings them all together. He'll bring the world together.
Ugh.
He already has. He already has.
Yeah, everything he says heals the world, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, but so far with everything with Sonic, I mean, it looks really solid. It looks like it's going to be a fun time in theaters, and I will be willing to bet that that's going to be the thing that makes the most money this holiday season for sure.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of, actually, no, I was going to mention this one, but I want to mention a different one first. Fuck it. I'm going to go a different route. But the one I'm really looking forward to that actually comes out next week that I feel like, a lot of people should be having on the radar is Heretic, which is coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
With-
haven't even seen a trailer for that. What is it?
Oh,
Just sell me on it.
It looks fantastic. So apparently it's like he is like this like kind of just
he
very
he as
charming,
in
charismatic, but also
he as in
sinister dude.
Hugh. He
Okay,
as in
why don't
Hugh
you just
Grant.
say it?
No, because if she hasn't seen the trailer, she doesn't know who we're talking about.
Jesus Christ.
All right, break it down. Break it down. Hugh Grant. All right, Hugh Grant.
No,
go
no.
ahead.
Honestly, Andres, you go for it. This shit.
Now Brody is howling away right now.
Even Brody was like, I don't like when you guys scream at each other.
Like, shut up.
All right, so I'll say this: it's got a charming, charismatic Hugh Grant who is visited by these two. What is it? What are they?
I think they're Catholic or no, Jehovah's Witness. I think
something like that. I think
Yeah.
they visit his home to kind of like sell him on it, and he
Jesus.
makes it seem like he has his wife there because they said they can't go into the house unless there's a woman present, and they realize okay he doesn't have a wife and that like everything is not what appears to be, and then he basically like gives them a choice to go through like these two doors or whatever that tests
Yes,
their faith
okay.
or something like that, and then it becomes like this crazy horror film.
Okay, yes, I did
Yeah.
see the trailer for this a while back. I completely forgot.
Like
about
creepy
that.
Hugh Grant, let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I must have. The title must have just like erased from my mind.
It's not a great title, but it's one of those that once you start seeing the trailer over and over again, that's what you start associating it. But speaking about seeing that movie as well, Matt has actually gone back and actually seen it, and he's got nothing but really positive word of mouth on that one as well. But also they did a nice little thing where essentially certain locations all around the nation, because it's an A24 movie, certain locations will be having like a blueberry flavored fragrance in the air for when you watch certain moments in the movie. And for some of the press screenings, they've actually like, there's a moment where Hugh Grant goes, all right, it's time for a blueberry pie. And then they'll actually have someone at the screenings handing out slices of blueberry pie to everybody. And I'm like, man, A24 really does know how to do their viral marketing stuff with this. I mean, granted, it's not going to be for every single theater, but it's going to be for a majority of all the first come, first serve screenings, I would say.
They have a side note. They do. I forgot what it's called, but they do have some experience like that where you can buy tickets where they'll present the courses that are in the movie. They'll present it to you throughout the movie. So I think there was one for like Ratatouille. I think in Vegas or something, but yeah, like as they bring out the Ratatouille, like they'll bring that out to you, all the desserts, and it's like,
That's
fuck
cool.
yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Now I'm hungry. Great.
Yeah.
And I've just eaten, so there we go.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. I think Hugh Grant has really had this great like resurgence also, but like showing his versatility in the past several years. I feel like he went from being like that like charming, surly rom-com guy to now like he's been in Guy Ritchie movies, he's in horror movies, he's popping up in Paddington. He's really kind of just doing all these different things, and I really love to see it. I think he's really matured as an actor, and I think he's doing a lot of exciting stuff. So I'm amped for that one.
Yeah. It's also like, man, why haven't we gotten Hugh Grant as a creepy horror person before?
I'm glad someone saw it. I'm glad someone saw the image. I know, like, literally, I watched it. I'm like, why haven't you been in a horror movie yet? And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect.
I think there was a Graham Norton thing that he was in not too long ago where he was like a majority of his career in the 90s and in the early aughts was like stuff that he was like, man, I'm trying to get stuff that my kids will watch. And then when he realized that his kids were not interested in anything he was going to be in, he was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do whatever I want. Dungeons and Dragons, anything, that's fine. Which honestly, Dungeons and Dragons was pretty freaking awesome. I mean, his role, he was fantastic.
Oh, he was great.
God,
it was very good.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, we're all obviously looking forward to Red 1, right?
Oh, God.
What movie?
The like $200 million Christmas movie starring The Rock and Chris Evans.
I was looking at the calendar and I was like, fuck, is that the only movie coming out during our next show? I was like, please don't. God, I think it is. I don't want to watch that.
No, but honestly, you bring up another thing too. We totally forgot about this piece of news that Jumanji 3 is officially happening now.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Because
I'm calling it now. It's either going to be called the final level or the boss level.
Something like that.
I will take the boss level. That sounds kind of cool.
I feel like the boss level sounds cooler than the final level.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
And how much do you want to bet that they're going to bring back Kirsten Dunst and they're going to bring back everybody who's still living from the original movie?
We'll see. Ugh.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like if they didn't do it first,
it seems like the public has like soured on The Rock. It seems like it just seems like no one really is amped for his movies anymore. I don't know like when that turn happened, but it happened.
Yeah,
I think it kind of happened with Black Adam because like all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, you want to control the entire DC slate? What are you talking about? Black Adam is like a D-list character.
I don't think it was that necessarily. I think it was all the shit everyone heard about him, being ridiculous on set and, all that other stuff. But I don't know. I still I still liked Black Adam. It wasn't like horrible to me. And I like the first two Jumanjis. That one he did with Emily Blunt was not so great. I can't remember
Jungle Cruise.
I actually kind of like that one.
Cruise. See, to each their own. He has a.
It's worth it for Jesse Plemons.
Hello, shit. Oh goodness.
But anyway,
what were we talking about?
But anyway, enough about that piece of crap. I think we really need to talk about the big weekend of November, which is the Glicked weekend, which is Gladiator 2 and Wicked.
No, we're not doing that.
Glicked.
No, that's literally what people are calling it. That's what people are calling it.
Oh my God.
We can't call it Gladiator.
You can't. You don't have to combine your names.
You like Gladiator? Okay, maybe Gladiator will catch.
Gladiator.
Sounds like you're complaining about Gladiator.
But those are two monstrous releases. They're both sure to be pretty big box office hits. I'm looking forward to both, honestly. I feel like it's a weekend where there's like something for everybody. You can, see the big epic action movie, or you could see the big epic, movie musical, and I've heard really good things about both. So I'm excited.
Yeah. So honestly, at the end of the day, we all win because if we get two great movies, it's a win-win for us. But also, bringing this up as well too with Wicked, I will say my excitement for that kind of got a little toned down with Cynthia Riva's response to the fan posters and stuff like that. But I will say her response to basically like, in hindsight, she essentially was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said what I said at that point in time. And
she said maybe I should have just called up a friend and invented that way instead of because I was kind of the same way. Like put a little bit of a kibosh on what very little excitement I had about that movie as it was.
Mhm.
But yeah, I surprisingly have heard really good things about it. So I'm gonna go into it with an open mind, but it's not when I'm like, yeah, let's go fucking see this opening day.
Yeah.
So you're not going to dress up as the Wicked Witch? Like
Oh, that would be hilarious.
that'd be hysterical. Or I dare you to dress up as the Wicked Witch, but then go see Gladiator.
Oh, right? Like, am I in the right movie?
My
That'd be
bad.
fucking
But
hilarious.
yeah, I'm really
I'm
looking
gonna go.
forward to both, and I hear Gladiator's really good too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that looks really good.
which again, I mean, Ridley Scott. I mean, for every single for every single House of Gucci or like any one of those movies he makes, he does end up making like a Last Duel or something that's so good that you're just like, man, you haven't lost a step. But I mean, Napoleon wasn't really all that good either.
Oh
But
God, that was terrible.
That's what I heard.
yeah,
But look, the House of Gucci, at least it was memorable. You know, was it?
why?
Yeah. I didn't
Nothing can
hate
make me
it.
like that movie.
I didn't hate it. It was fine.
God, it's so
See,
terrible.
I went into that not expecting it to be serious at all, and I had a blast with that movie. Like, I remember seeing it with Eric and Drew, and I was like, guys, I don't know if you guys will love this movie or you guys will hate it. And then as soon as the credits rolled, they just looked at me and they're like, we loved it. And I was like, yeah, because we're not
Maybe,
expecting anything serious.
maybe he was weird and wacky like that in real life. I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
meant to be a comedy, though. I hate this bullshit of everyone, like, because it ends up being
Oh,
ironically funny. Like, it's a comedy. It's like, no, it's not a fucking
no,
comedy.
no, it's not.
Neither
But,
is The Lighthouse.
oh,
Keep that in mind, Tom.
Oh, see, now you're trying to lead the witness. I don't appreciate that.
We've had this discussion before on here.
Oh, I know we have.
mhm.
Anyways.
Okay, well, look, we'll see. We'll see what happens
We
next
shall
episode
see.
after I've seen it.
But yeah, but I'm really excited for Gladiator and Wicked, and honestly, that's going to be coming out on Thanksgiving weekend. I'm not planning on doing a double feature that day. Hell no. Two
Yeah.
2 hour and 45-minute movies. Fuck no. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
that's craziness.
Yeah.
But you know, the weird thing is, like, after that weekend, there really isn't much for the rest of the year. I'm looking here, and I'm like,
Well,
there's not a ton I'm looking forward to other than that.
I
I
want to
mean,
see A Complete Unknown. I know, I
yeah.
think I was talking to Craig about it. He was like, oh, it just looks very boring. And like, I mean, it looks like a typical
It looks like
biopic
what Walk
movie.
Hard made fun of.
Yeah, right. It looks like a typical, well, I mean, there's very much, Johnny Cash-esque. We're around the same time. It looks very like a basic biopic, but I am such a sucker for biopics. I fucking love them. And
Mhm.
I really love Bob Dylan. So I'm looking
Ha-
forward to that one.
have you ever seen the Weird Al biopic?
Oh, that
Weird.
was so good. That was so good.
The one with Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
That one, I think I started watching it, and I don't know if I got all the way through. It was very
Oh,
intense.
it's
Oh,
one
I
of
thought
those
it was great.
I thought it was fantastic because it's like the first 10 minutes is everything you expect from a biopic, and then as it goes on, you're like, none of this shit ever happened, and the
Yeah.
movie knows it, and like they even go as far as like to like rewrite history in points. Is like, oh my god, like this is exactly what I would have expected a biopic from Weird Al to be like.
Yeah, well, it's a parody of his biopic. Essentially, it's like a biopic parody of himself. I don't know.
Mhm.
Very
Very,
Weird
Yeah.
Al. Yeah.
very
It's a good
layered.
one. I highly recommend it. It's very good.
Oh yeah.
So that's one of ones I'm.
I mean, I'm very lukewarm on it just because I'm not a huge biopic person. If honestly, like, I feel like a lot of them are very predictable and
broke
bland.
my
Like,
heart.
there's some good ones out there, but like, especially being like Walk the Line, I think is fantastic. So
Mhm.
considering James Mangold's behind this one, I do have faith, and Timothy Chalamet is great. I think the casting of Boyd Holbrook as Elvis is. Wait, was it Elvis?
No,
Or
no, no. It's
It
Cash.
was Cash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
find it funny that this
Yeah.
could have been his moment to be like, yo, Joaquin, can you just come down and just do one day?
That would have been
Yeah.
hilarious. Oh my god. But yeah, I think that's great casting too. I love Boyd Holbrook a lot. And Chalamet sounds just like him, and he looks a lot
Yeah.
like him
Yeah.
too. So like, it could be good. It could be good, but I'm gonna see Nosferatu first.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And I think I said on this show when we were talking about it before, I definitely was not for Timothy Chalamet playing Bob Dylan. He just seemed so young. I, it doesn't matter what age he is. He looks fucking 12 still. So I had my doubts of, him playing it. And then when I saw the trailer, I was like, fuck, he is good. Damn it.
Yeah, there's a reason why his name comes up in every conversation in Hollywood. Give me a Chalamet type.
Yeah.
Exactly. Did you guys see that last weekend in New York? They had like a Timothy Chalamet lookalike, and he showed up. I was like, that's hilarious.
Who was it? There's some celebrity, or I don't know if it's a rumor or something. Some celebrity showed up to a lookalike contest of themselves. And ended up getting second place or like third place or something like that.
Oh, I forget who that was. Yeah.
If anyone knows, put it in the comments or we'll Google it before then.
Yeah, no, it's funny because whenever you see some of these celebrities out in public, they're like sometimes you're like, they don't look exactly like they do in movies, but in a very like weird, like breaking the screen moment type of thing where you're like, it doesn't really equate to you that these people are that person. And then when you start to think, you're like, oh, that is that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just remember seeing like, New York City will be holding a Timothy Chalamet lookalike contest. And then someone commented, Timothy Chalamet has the opportunity to do the funniest thing today. And then like a few hours later, he was there and taking pictures with everybody. So funny.
That's so amazing. Funny.
That's great. I'm trying to see what else there is. I'm looking at the calendar here.
Well, so far, I mean, there's kind of one thing that's kind of going under the radar right now, which I think will probably maybe get a little bit of consideration when it comes to the award ceremony. But Night Bitch, I think, is going to be pretty awesome with Amy Adams.
I have zero desire to see that one.
I have not seen the trailer for that.
Is that the one where she thinks she's turning into like a werewolf or something, or a dog?
Yeah, she thinks she's turning into a dog.
Yeah.
And she's not. She just thinks she is.
Yeah, I mean, on the concept itself, it's weird, but it's one of those things where I'm like, you know what? If you're really shooting for the fences on that type of thing, I will probably check it out because again, Poor Things did not sell me on the concept at all, and it turned out to be one of my favorite movies of last year. So, if there's something out there that is at least taking a chance, I will at least go out and check it out. But yeah, that one is being directed. Marielle Heller. I don't remember what she's done. Not
a known person. Okay, just curious.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at what she's done.
Something. The Queen's Gambit. Is that what she did? No.
Well, I think she was in it because she's also an actress as well. But she also directed. She directed "Can You Ever Forgive Me," which is a great Melissa McCarthy movie. If you guys have not seen
Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. This is what IMDb gets us right there. Instant knowledge.
This is IMDb right there.
Right. Cool,
I'm curious. Are you guys looking forward to Moana 2?
No.
Yeah.
That's just no. You know what it is though? I think growing up, all the Disney sequels were straight to DVD movies. Like we never got, we never really got Disney sequels. So I think as an adult, it's hard for me to digest the idea of sequels to like these beloved movies actually being out in theaters. So it's not a big draw for me to go and see, that stuff. Now, all the clients I work with are fucking ecstatic about this. I had one client where I guess she had seen the trailer or something, and she was like, "Moana 2, it's coming out in November." And I was like, "Oh, okay, you know the date and everything. All right." So I'm sure the kids will love it, but
yeah, I don't know. I'm not really. I mean, I really enjoyed the first movie, but like, I don't know. I just don't have like any desire to see Moana 2.
Yeah, it seemed like Frozen. I loved Frozen.
Yeah,
I
Frozen's
thought it was
great.
So like such a good newer concept. But when the second one came out, I was like, I don't really have a big desire to see it.
Yeah, it's one of those where I think the movie will have to sort of earn its wings a little bit in terms of the word of mouth, because it kind of feels like par for the course that Disney is like, yep, big hit, make a sequel right away, which is why we're getting freaking Mufasa. But I will say the one thing that Moana 2 and Mufasa have in common is they've been heavily advertising featuring music by Lin-Manuel Miranda, which kind of feel like Jen said it best, was like, it kind of feels like a threat nowadays where it's like, Oh my God. It's like, okay, yeah, we're going to get something that's so fast that you won't be able to understand any of it. I mean, come on, the
Oh, I hate that
scuttlebutt from
song.
fucking Little Mermaid. Like, oh,
No, that's
see,
Little Mermaid. Ew.
yeah, no, but Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote that. Like
Yeah, but
that's
he did.
exactly where I'm coming from.
But I think he did really good with the music in the first one. Like I really like. There's
Oh
some
yeah.
bangers in the first Moana. So if
Oh
he can
yeah,
deliver the
absolutely.
same he did in the first one, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say if his heart is more into this one, absolutely, I think because like again, there's certain moments in the first Moana, like the second that she starts singing "How Far I'll Go" the first time. I remember being in that theater, be like, "You go, hell's yeah, let's get this movie started!" Like I was so excited
Really,
during that first movie.
Wow. Okay.
you're
I
that
love
stoked
that
for
first
Getting
movie.
Moana?
a peek into your life I didn't expect.
Oh yeah, no, I love that first
Now
movie
I'm
and
picturing
like.
in the theater. Go, Moana.
Yeah, go!
All the
Wait a
little
minute,
kids are
get
like,
that
"Who the
pig!
hell is
Like,
this?"
who's that creepy guy, Daddy?
Yeah.
You know what? I think a couple of the kids were probably thinking that when I was laughing during the opening short film for Moana, the one where it's the guy who constantly imagines all the ways he's dying.
I don't think I saw
I
that.
don't think I saw that.
Oh, it's so funny. It's I think it's called Inner Workings. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
but it's the one where essentially his mind is telling him you can't do all this shit because you'll end up dying in some way, shape, or form, and it's so
Nice.
fucking funny. And it's and it's one of
For
those
the
things where
children, you know.
It's for the children.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, go check it out, guys. It's
No,
fantastic.
when we speak of that phrase, like the other night I rewatched The Nightmare Before Christmas with like my sister and a friend of mine, and we were watching it and there's like so many like grotesque, horrifying things in
Oh
it.
yeah.
And then after like these crazy sequences, we look at each other like, it's for the children.
Oh yeah.
It's for the
Oh yeah.
children.
Oh no!
Yeah.
There's a very specific memory I have of seeing the TV spots for Nightmare Before Christmas. I was
So
about
wild. That's a
No,
Disney movie.
no. I
Yeah.
was no, oh well, not originally. They weren't a Disney movie because I mean, here's the thing. So when I saw the TV spots for Nightmare Before Christmas, I remember seeing that and being like, "Mom, I want to go see that movie. Can we go see it?" And then my mom's like, "Yeah, we'll go see it." And then it cuts to the shot in the TV spot where it's the kid going, "What did Santa bring you, honey?" Ah! And then my mom went, "We're not watching that." I was like, "Ah, God."
Yeah. Great
I
stuff.
mean, yeah,
Horrifying.
but I will say like that was the thing I remember when I was a kid that it was always called Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas because
I mean, it still is.
Yeah.
That's still how they present it.
now it's how they present it in within the movie, but and all the marketing and all that other stuff, it's Disney's A Nightmare Before Christmas. And it's like, yeah, no, Disney was trying really hard back in the 90s to separate themselves from that movie until it made a boatload of money.
Well, I've thought it was because I don't know they were selling Tim Burton more so like, hey, Tim Burton, like
Yeah, because no one really
he
knew who
makes cool
Henry
shit,
Selick was.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly, and it's
Yeah.
very his style. So
Yeah, and it's also sad that like, you know, Henry Selick directed the movie and he did a majority of the work for it apart from the character designs and all that other stuff, and he barely got any credit for that movie, and it's just
Well, that's why he made Coraline and fucking crushed it. Can't take
oh
that
god,
from
yeah.
him. Can't take that
actually, I
from him.
think the anniversary was yesterday. Yeah, they were
Yeah.
replaying it at the theaters.
No,
They
Coraline.
Missed it though.
no. Here's the thing: is that they've been playing Coraline in theaters for like the past like 4 months out here. Like it is something that is still going strong to the even still to this day. So like honestly, it's such a great movie, and
Yeah.
I'm so sad that that movie bombed when it came out. But no, it's great.
Well, yesterday was the last day to see it around here. Sad.
Oh,
Missed it.
well,
Oh, really?
Not
Come
like
out-
I
come
can't
out to
just pull
Boston
it up
again.
on. It's not like I can't like pull it up on stream and watch it.
Yeah.
Anyways, but-
Well, I mean,
Stop
speaking of sad things, it's unfortunately time to talk about our movie of the week. So we're going to be talking about a little movie called Venom, the Last Dance. Hit theaters last weekend. And we're going to be talking about it in depth with some spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie, I highly recommend you stop watching or listening to this episode. And if you do happen to see it, or if you've already seen it, you can, of course, keep watching or listening. So we're going to talk about our general thoughts first, and then we're going to dive into spoiler territory. So generally, let's talk about our thoughts about Venom, the Last Dance, maybe what we thought of the first two films going into this one. We'll start with you, Andres.
Yeah. So Honestly, so here's the thing with Venom. I'm a huge fan of the character and I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man in general. And the thing with Venom is that first original movie, when it was pitched as a solo film starring Tom Hardy, really excited for it. And then I saw it and I'm like, you know what? It was just an okay movie at the time. No, but there's definitely a lot of building blocks that can go forward with sequels. I thought Venom Let There Be Carnage was I thought I had so much fun with that movie. Like, that movie is criminally underrated for how much it just takes the concept and runs along with it. So I was excited for Venom The Last Dance. And then more of the trailer started coming out, and I'm like, okay, I'm with it for a little bit, but I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. And honestly, coming out of this movie, I was so disappointed with where they went, especially with the fact that this is going to be the goodbye to Venom as a character and this interpretation from Tom Hardy. It felt anticlimactic in certain aspects, and then it also just felt like it was the least polished and the most messiest out of all the Venom movies so far. So honestly, I was just incredibly disappointed by this movie.
All right, Nancy, how are we feeling?
Yeah, this movie kind of felt a little bit of a train wreck.
Just a little bit.
What? How dare you call it a train wreck?
I saw this movie Tipsy, and I was like, "Oh man, this is
Oh man, it
this
doesn't
is
even
not a
work.
good choice."
Tipsy? Yikes.
It was no. I was more. It made me more confused. It was just like, "What the fuck is happening?" Yeah, the first movie was okay. I think the second one, what I liked about it is they kind of upped the wackiness of Venom and the humor to it with him and Tom Hardy, and I think that worked very well. What they did in this one, it kind of reminds me of what one of my teachers said in high school was when you have like a long running TV show, a lot of the characters become stereotypes of themselves or like caricatures of themselves. And I feel like that's almost what happened with Venom because the humor and the wackiness worked in the second one. They tried to do that in the third one with the humor and just didn't quite land for me, at least. Like the jokes just weren't that great, especially the opening sequences. It was just like too wacky and just like, what is happening here? I will say they did get me a little bit emotionally towards the end, but that's really the only time I got invested was the end fighting scene, and that otherwise it was just kind of like there was a bunch of stuff going on. There wasn't, but at the same time, not really anything going on. So yeah, this movie just was very lackluster and not great.
Okay. All right. Will Tom be different? No.
No.
I've already seen your letterbox, Tom. Let it rip.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I was, out of the three of us, I might have been the one who was looking forward to this one the most, just because, like, even though the first two movies are not by any means Oscar-winning films,
Right, yeah.
It's just like they were fun. They were goofy. Tom Hardy was fully committed. I liked what they were doing with the Venom Eddie Brock dynamic, and that would just made it super entertaining. Yeah, they were messy and they could have been a lot better, but I enjoyed them. So this one looked like goofy fun. But going off of what Nancy said of like how he has become a caricature. That's a hard word to say sober.
Caricature.
Caricature. It's like trying to say the word brewery sober. It's just
because your accent.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's the Long Island in me.
New York.
But what was it? Oh yeah, it just kind of felt like going from the second film to the third Venom film here. It felt like the Thor Ragnarok to Thor Love and Thunder effect, where they took the character in a wacky direction. The second film, people seemed to love it, and they kind of took all the wrong notes from the audience reception, and then doubled down on it in this one, where now Venom's too wacky. Now he's too over the top. He's trying too hard to be funny. Where like the whole dynamic, yeah, it's still fun to watch, between Eddie and Venom, but it also feels more strained comedically this time around, where the jokes don't really land. A lot of it's very, very silly. The special effects, for the most part, are pretty terrible in this movie.
Yeah.
And there's just not a lot memorable about it. It just feels like this mishmash of a movie that just kind of goes from one location to the next haphazardly. And it just feels like such like a nothing movie. Like it just, especially for a final Venom movie, it feels very anticlimactic. It feels very unsatisfying. And even though Tom Hardy is trying his best to make this movie work, it just falls short. And there's just so many things I just didn't care for. We'll dive into spoilers a little bit, but yeah, overall, easily the weakest of the three. It does have some entertainment value. I think the third act action sequence is actually a lot of fun because they finally decide to do some cool stuff with the symbiotes and everything. But ultimately, yeah, this one just was not it. I was very disappointed too.
Yeah. And you guys keep talking about the fact that it is a very forgettable movie. And here's the thing. It's been only a week since I've seen it, and I started forgetting everything. I literally had to pull up my letterbox right now so I could start remembering some of the cons of this movie. And I'm like, oh yeah, there was this. Everything about this movie felt like there was no emotional resonance whatsoever, or anything that they added to the movie felt like it had any meaning to it. And it's exactly what you're saying, Tom. Like, they took all the wrong things from the last movie and then they amped it up, but by losing a lot of what this character is. So, I mean, we can talk about it even further when we go into spoilers. I mean, but when we go into spoilers, do we just want to talk about right off the bat that Null is just kind of a nothing villain?
Oh, he's absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
He's literally nothing. He doesn't do anything.
He's literally just like this the entire movie. Which
I didn't understand, where he's like, I'll save your lives if you go do this. But it's like, but you can't do anything. You're stuck in there. So how are you gonna
not to mention
that doesn't make sense.
Not to mention the fact that the whole credit scene of him finally looking up and saying, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking destroy your world," or whatever. We're not even gonna see that. Let's be honest. I highly doubt that we're even gonna see this fucking
Craven is not
again.
gonna make that much.
Yeah, Craven will probably bomb. And I know there's rumblings that Sony wants to do a Sinister Six movie with Null as the villain, but I don't think it's going to work. People didn't show up for the other movies that aren't Venom. Do you really think that people are going to show up for that fucking shit show? No, I really don't think so.
No.
Yeah. They should have just put it in the movie, honestly.
Yeah, no, and here's the thing with Kraven the Hunter. It is an R-rated movie. That is going to kill your box office right there. Everyone goes, oh, this character should have been R-rated. No, Venom should have been R-rated. Kraven, you could have gotten away with a PG-13 rated movie for that character. Mm-hmm. But for Venom, there is sort of the added thing where it's not necessarily in terms of the violence or the gore, but when you read the Venom comics, I mean, especially the fact that Eddie Brock's whole origin story in the comics is that he goes over to the church on the same night that Peter Parker gets the symbiote off of him, essentially to go ask God for forgiveness before he commits suicide. It's one of those things where you're like, this is some deep and heavy shit that is in the comic that they can't put in a PG-13 rated movie. And everyone goes, oh, when you mean R-rated, you mean the violence. No, you mean about the themes. You mean about just everything that you ask from an audience. Logan is a violent movie, but in terms of the midlife crisis of it all for Logan, that's primarily what sells, what you can't sell to a kid. And I think they could have done the same thing with Venom at some point. But yeah, I mean, so to go along with Noel on this,
Andy Serkis can't save it.
Oh, that was the heartbreaking thing, because I was like, oh, he is doing everything he can to sell that character, but the problem is when
Andy Serkis was playing that character. I mean,
yeah, he's voicing him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. What little voice he had, what little lines he had to do.
Oh,
yeah, and here's the thing is that with a character like Null, as big of a character as he is in the pantheon of the Spider-Man villains and just the King is Black type of storyline. I know I might be getting that title wrong. I think that's what it's called. You can quote me on that chat. But anyway, for as
don't
big
quote
as
you
that,
on that?
don't quote me on that. You can correct me. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, there you go. Okay, correct.
But essentially with Noel being as interesting of a character as he is in the comics, and to sort of get that so wrong in here and start coming up with so many Deus Machinas type of thing to make this particular antagonist somewhat try to work. It's such a mess, and it's so mishandled. And the thing is that because of the fact that we barely have a presence for him, we don't feel any of the threat, or we don't feel any of any of sort of the obstacles that Eddie Brock or Venom have to go through, apart from the symbiote hunter, which I think was overpowered, and it was so stupid because it's like
can't kill that thing at all.
you can't kill that thing, and there is like James Cameron once said as well too that when he was doing the original cut of T2, that when it came time to show the T1000 and all this other stuff, and then when you get to the very end and you keep showing that the T1000 is immortal, the audience starts to break free a little bit. So you kind of have to put in little glimpses of hope that there's some way to affect this. Like, when they freeze him up and then they break him and shatter him. And it's like, oh, they slowed him down just a little bit. But with this movie, it just kind of seems like there is no sense of doing anything to these characters, or even a sense of you can take these things on. So it just kind of goes, okay, it just makes it a very boring thing. And then the second that you get 7 symbiotes going up against this one thing, and then all it does is just shove it into his mouth and then grind it over in the other side. I'm like, that worked really well for the first time, but then it gets old so fast.
You mean you didn't like seeing the Fargo effect?
I liked it the first time.
Every time I saw it, I was like, oh, he Fargoed him again.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like again, the sense of threat is not there. And you're talking about with the third act when you get all these symbiotes in, I had a hard time caring about it because I just knew that they weren't going to be able to do anything. And
for me, it wasn't so much about caring about it. It was more like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool, we get Lady Venoms. We get some other.
No, like I said, when they embraced all the symbiotes and had them all come out, I'm like, that's cool. I like that. Yeah. That's really that fun stuff. I was like, get wacky with it a little bit. Embrace, the lunacy of all this stuff, but make it fun. And I was enjoying that last action sequence. I'm like, okay, where was this the past hour and a half?
Yeah, exactly. And I will say you've talked a while, artist. Let me have a turn.
I know. Go ahead.
No, but I did like that, but I feel like they were just reaching so hard to get for some reason, an emotional moment with the what's her face from Ted Lasso. Of,
Juno Temple,
showing her that she got hit by lightning, but it
was so silly.
Killed
that story.
her brother. And it had nothing to do with anything other than he wanted to be a scientist and
with the lightning or something.
What the fuck was that?
Because that was the silliest backstory I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I don't think that that's canon in the comics, or at least in the ones that I've read, because the symbiotes are all susceptible to loud noises and fire and hot temperatures, and lightning has every single one of those things. So. I don't think that works.
It was in her soul the whole time. She's lightning girl.
Oh my god!
It was just I did not care about her at all. I'm telling you, this movie has such an egregious waste of talent. I mean, between Andy Serkis, Juno Temple, Chiwetel Ejiofor, what are we doing with these people, guys?
But also, why are we giving her an American accent? I hate when they do that. There's no reason you need to do that. And her American accent is not great. She sounds like she's from fucking Minnesota. So just let her.
Speaking of which, watch Fargo with her in it. She's great in the show
because she does great with the Minnesota accent.
Yeah, she crushed it.
That was her go-to. She's like, let me just let me go back to my Fargo accent.
Yeah,
I'll use that again.
Yeah, but the other thing too is you're talking about all the waste of talent on this as well. I felt so bad for Chiwetel Ejiofor in this movie because because here's the thing, it kind of feels like so he is Baron Mordo in the MCU, and there is a very specific thing with the MCU that with the clause of the actors that sometimes the MCU will not allow certain characters to go into the Sonyverse unless they don't have any plans for him in the future. And by him being in this movie, it kind of felt like, oh man, so we're not going to get Baron Mordo anymore in the MCU because, Feige is very much in, not necessarily in control, but very much has a hand in saying whether or not they want one of their actors to do another comic book movie. So it just kind of felt like, oh man, they're not going to be using him anymore. And I just kind of felt like, shit, that is such a great character in the MCU, Baron Mordo, that for him to pop up here and for it to be such a nothing role and for it to be so just underdeveloped and so just mean nothing. And even the same thing too with Rhys Ifans as well. I mean, like,
I actually really liked him in this movie. I thought I think he was the MVP of this movie, if I'm being honest. Like, I thought he had like a nothing role, but he had so much fun with it. And I actually enjoyed him the most out of anyone in the movie. I was shocked by how much I liked
but
his
I think what
character.
you're referring to is what Craig's quam was, that when he saw the trailer, he's like, "Oh, it's the guy." What the hell? Sorry,
Uh-oh.
there's a
Okay.
very loud motorcycle that started right outside.
That was a
the window.
motorcycle?
Yeah, this was like, what the fuck? That or a truck? I don't know. It was loud. That's
Sounded
the
like
point.
someone like busted open your door or something.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell?
Symbiote.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, the fact that it's the guy that plays
The lizard?
in the
Lizard.
lizard in Amazing Spider-Man.
A lot of people
movies.
thought he was playing the same guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's what Craig kept saying, was that when he saw the trailer, he's like, "Oh, it's connected somehow," and I was like, "No, just the same guy playing another guy." But other than that, I thought he was fun. He's a fun character.
Yeah, like I will say the best scene in the movie, and it was shocking that this was my favorite scene in the movie, is when they're having like a sing along in their car, and then like Tom and Eddie are like, Eddie and Venom are having their like whole conversation, like, we could have had this kind of life, like we could, like, like I wish that this could be like what we had or whatever. And it was like this weird way. I was like, am I getting emotional in the scene right now? Like, what is happening? Where I was like, what a weird, like, I know like I shouldn't like the scene, but like everything about this, like this is what I want. This is like the emotional core of the movie somehow, like right here that I want to explore, but it never did. But it was a really great scene in the midst of a giant mess.
Oh yeah, no, and even with the introduction of Rhys Ifans in the movie as well too, it's funny, but it also kind of felt like the director and the creatives behind knew that we were expecting it to be the lizard. So there's like tons of Easter eggs on the hood of their car where there's like a lizard dash, like a little lizard dashboard figure bobblehead thing, and I'm like, oh, they know that we're expecting that, but less so that was my problem with his character. More, it was just that it just kind of felt like they introduced him, and then when it comes to the ending, they were just kind of, I mean, it wasn't necessarily used as well as I thought they should have been. And same thing goes with Detective Mulligan in this movie, who in the comics becomes Toxin. Such a complete waste. And the thing is that his performance is unintentionally funny. Like he had all these moments where he's like, they're coming. And I'm like, what is going on? And it just sort of felt like just the direction on his performance was just so
again, a waste
all
of
over the
talent.
place.
Stephen Graham is a fantastic actor. What the fuck are we wasting him for?
Yeah, and I thought he would have been a great Toxin as well too, which Toxin in the continuity is the symbiote offspring of Carnage, who is actually a cop and who actually does become the lethal protector in the comics world. I was like, oh, that could have been a great setup. And then it's like, nope. Don't worry about anything that happened in the last movie. And also, can we talk about the retcon in the first 10 minutes of this movie?
That made me roll my eyes so much. Literally just like, oh, that amazing thing we teased a couple movies ago? Nah. I was like, I fucking awful. Like, I hate like that in that one scene encapsulated how much I hate this Sony universe. Is like, they like really teased fans, especially with that whole credit scene of Venom seeing like Peter Parker on TV and being in the same universe, like the biggest tease you could possibly give a Venom fan. And then you rip it all away in one stupid scene where I was just like, fuck you, Sony. Like, really? Like, this is what we're doing? Like, come on.
Do you think honestly, it would have been better to just like ignore it completely, or do you think addressing it in a different way? Because I agree. I think just them
it was just so throwaway,
popping out and in, be like, multiverse, stupid. Moving on.
Yeah, like, it was just kind of like, oh, what a wild trip. And then like that's what it felt like. It was so dumb.
It reminds me of like in TV shows when like someone goes on vacation, but it's because the actor like has gone to do something else. They're like, oh yeah, that was such a fun trip to Hawaii I had, and they come back like nothing happened. So dumb.
Oh yeah, no, if you read Joanna Robinson's MCU book that came out last year, she talks about specifically that after the first Venom movie, the MCU was actually looking to cross paths with the Sonyverse because they were like, this Venom movie on its own really does stand alone on its own, that to the point where we can incorporate this into our universe and we can incorporate the Spider-Man villains as well. But the thing was, I don't think Feige and the rest of Marvel Studios could have anticipated how bad Morbius was going to be, how bad freaking Madam Web was going to be as well too, even to the
Yeah.
point where after they saw an original cut of Morbius, they specifically rewrote a line in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that said, if a character from another universe inhabits another universe for far too long, an incursion happens. So that was them shutting the door on any of these characters mingling for far too long in another universe. And
Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt
Yeah.
that their intention was to do a crossover like
Mhm.
that. Yeah, I'm not doubting that they just put it in there just to put it in there.
Oh,
But
no.
if it's not gonna happen, like then do it, present it in a better way, or just don't
Yeah.
even mention it, because it
just
was
felt
just so
cheap.
fucking stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. It just felt like a really lousy way to treat your fans, especially like it just like I don't know, I didn't appreciate that. I just thought it was just really lame. But I was like, you know what? Get it out of the way, and now let's just focus on the rest of the movie. It is what it is,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But yeah, just like I really just want the Sony universe to end. It's clear they just don't really care about these characters, and they're not handling them well. Like even Venom, their best movies, like they're still not great. You know, like the Venom character deserves better justice than this. So, you know, I don't know if we'll see Venom in some other, you know, incarnation at some point. I'm assuming so, just because the character's so popular and has proven that it's a popular character. But this just like isn't it. I feel like, you know, aside from like the Spider-Verse films, like so I don't know what Sony's doing here.
No, and here's the thing is that Sony, I mean, people go, oh, the MCU is the best interpretation of Spider-Man that we've ever had. And it's like, no, I will say either between the Tobey Maguire movies or even the Into the Spider-Verse movies, I think are some of the best interpretations that we've had of this character so far, just in terms of how emotionally we get to really embrace these characters and really follow along with their story, so that when Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2 throws away the costume, you feel that moment where he walks away and you're just like, oh man, what's going to happen? And then it cuts to the next scene and he's happy as a pig. But then when he starts seeing, I was about to say pig and shit, but I censored myself. So there you go.
Why?
I've never even, I don't think that's a saying. Is that a thing?
Happy as a pig and shit is such a saying.
Have you heard how many times we say fuck on this show?
I know, right? I don't know why I self-censored myself there. But anyway.
Peculiar. I've always heard happy as a clam.
Oh, I've heard that one
But
too.
I've also heard happy as a pig and shit. Yeah, I've heard that
one
too.
Heard that. Interesting. Yeah, don't censor yourself. Say fuck and shit.
There we go.
This is safe space.
All right, fuck the shit, fuck the fucking shit, fuck.
But hold on, can we please talk? Oh God, this is the thing I want to talk about the most, where in the last 5 minutes of the movie, it tries to make it like emotional farewell, where they do like this stupid montage set to a Maroon 5 song.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
And I'm like, I remember I looked over to who I was seeing the movie with, and I was like, are they doing this right now? Like, is this like, is this what's happening? And like all the memories they were like pivoting to are just like these crazy wild things that aren't even like emotional.
But also there were all things of like, that just happened like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Like what?
It's just I don't know. It was just like an unintentionally funny way to end it.
Yeah, that was no. I did like appreciate that when he is actually saying goodbye, and like he's like, "Don't forget about me," and like that actually made me a little sad. And he's like protecting him. Like I like that part.
Yeah, like
but then they kind of ruined that.
Yeah, like their in-person goodbye. You know, like when they were like, you know, Tom Hardy was getting all teary-eyed as they're saying, "I'm like, I feel this. I'm like, this is good. Like this is a good moment. I like this." And honestly, I felt like that last scene would have been better if there was maybe just some narration from Eddie, and then it kind of ended with him at the Statue of Liberty, and it's like, I'll never forget you, buddy, or whatever, and didn't need fucking montage or the Maroon 5 song. I think it would have worked so much better.
Yeah, and especially with what I think they were missing more in this movie more than anything else is when you look at the first two Venom movies, Venom as a character, Venom the symbiote as a character is actively trying to make Eddie Brock's life better. Like my favorite scene in the original Venom movie is when Eddie's in the back of the car with Michelle Williams as they're going off to a hospital, and then Venom is just in his head saying, you really should apologize for what you did to her, because you might not get another chance. And then all of a sudden, the second that he says the apology, and then all of a sudden Venom goes, oh, don't you feel so much better now? It's like, yeah, like Venom is actively trying to make Eddie Brock feel better, even in the second movie where he finds out Anne is getting married, and then what does he do the next day? He's like making him breakfast and doing, I say the, you say I the, and it's like he's actively trying to make him a better person. And then the thing is that in this movie we don't get that at all, and sort of the symbiotic relationship is kind of just one-sided because of the fact that, oh, if Venom comes out, this thing tracks him immediately, and then all of a sudden, the story kicks in, I guess. But it was one of those things.
They didn't give a shit about that whole thing when Mrs. Chen showed up and they decided to dance.
Okay, so that was what was funny is I had to really use the restroom, so I was like, "Can I go?" Craig's like, "You're gonna miss like a weird ABBA dancing scene," so I was like, "That's fine, I can make it back." And like as I'm coming back, it shows them dancing. I was like, doesn't he get tracked down by the
they
thing?
clearly didn't care about that. I was like, what do we like? This is just so like so silly. Like someone I think someone also had like a problem with it. And they're like, this could have just worked if they just showed like maybe him getting like drunk with Mrs. Chen or something where like their guard was down and they weren't thinking about the whole thing. But like the fact that they were fully sober, they know that if Venom fully came out that they would be tracked, and they did it anyway just for like a dance number. It would just made it even dumber.
or why not have it? Why not have the transformation actually mean something too, as opposed to Venom just going, "Oh, we never do what I want to do." It's like, that is not a reason. Like, if you made it a reason to, like, essentially, let's say the symbiote hunter just happened to be in Vegas and was knocking shit down, and then, there's Mrs. Chen right there, and something is about to fall on her, and the only way to basically make sure that she's safe is to transform, that would have been a great way to incorporate the Venom character into that scene. But in the way that they do it, where it's like, oh, he just does it and just dances with her. And then like 5 seconds later, the symbiote hunter comes through and busts down the roof. And then literally he just turns back into Eddie Brock, and then the scene's over. And I'm like, really? That's all we're going to do with this moment right here? It's so stupid.
That scene was super uncomfortable to watch in the theater because no one found it funny, and it was just dead silent. I was like, ooh. Yeah. Like you could feel it failing in real time, and it was really uncomfortable. I was like, and it went on so long. I was like, oh God. I was like, make it stop.
Which is so funny because when we watched the trailer, it's like, oh, Venom's dancing with Mrs. Chen, and hopefully it'll matter, and then it didn't.
Yeah, it's just a bummer. It's just a bummer.
Yeah. And especially the fact that Mrs. Chen has like so many great moments in those first 2 movies, like just her being on board with the fact that she is giving Venom chocolate and is paying for the protection with chocolate. And it's just like just the banter that she has with Eddie and Venom, where it's like, listen, old lady's like, oh lady, I'm like 39.
Oh man. But yeah, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else about this movie I need to vent about. I feel like I got through all my big points.
The pacing is completely off, and every time Juno Temple, Chiwetel Ejiofor, or or any of those any of the new characters, whenever they come in, it kills the pacing of the movie.
It's weird. It's like it felt too short and too long at the same time. That's the best way I could put it. Where like so many things felt rushed and like they needed more time to develop, and that at the same time it felt like it was just too long and that it was just like overstaying its welcome. So it was like just the worst of both worlds, where it was just like, it's been a minute since I've seen a movie that felt that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not great.
Yeah.
And they could have, another thing I wish they explored more was like when Eddie was being chased by like, Chiwetel and his men or whatever, and he like ends up killing that one person. They kind of set up this interesting conflict between him and his, and Chiwetel's character of like, okay, well, I'm gonna, kill you as like a way of making up for it. And like the way they handled that was really botched, and that could have been like emotionally charged, Also, like, maybe Eddie exploring that more, because you could tell he was upset by the fact that he killed someone who was pretty innocent, by accident. I felt like if they explored that more, that could have been interesting, but they didn't. They kind of just dropped it. And I was like, all right. And it's just like, there's a lot of interesting things in this movie, like intriguing things that could have been explored, that could have been fleshed out, that could have been made better, and they just didn't. And that's why it's even more disappointing. So.
And I think that goes back to very much leaning on, trying to make Venom this like wacky character and like focusing more on that than actually, emotional moments of the movie. And, making
Yeah,
the
it's like
plot
less
a little
Venom
better.
horse and Venom frog and more
Right? Yeah,
exploration of Eddie.
exactly.
But that sequence I thought was particularly well done because they did establish, oh shit, they're separated. What are they going to do when that happens? And then you bring up the idea of they introduce concepts of like what like with Mulligan in particular, with the fact that he was rejected by the symbiote that was born inside him. I mean, that is an interesting concept in itself to sort of see what a human who has had a symbiote and is separated from them, like what that does to them later on, or what that does to them mentally. And then it's just kind of dropped out of nowhere. And then the other thing too is that, like, I'm sorry, but the death of Venom meant nothing to me. Like the second that he was throwing himself into that acid bath and did that over and over
I
again,
felt a little emotional.
Yeah,
it
you didn't miss Venom?
I felt like that scene of like them on the helicopter saying goodbye and then him sacrificing himself. Like that actually kind of worked for me. Like I felt like they kind of earned that little moment. It worked for me, I think.
But the other thing too is that it would have worked had Venom not done the sacrificing himself in the first movie. And it just sort of felt like, okay, he's dying, but he'll come back again, which is which they pulled the same hat trick in the first movie. And that's the thing, that if you have watched the first one and the second one back to back before seeing this one, a lot of the beats are repeated again. So when this sacrifice was happening, I kind of felt nothing.
All right. Well,
okay.
To each their own on that one.
And again, it's the recency bias as well too. Like if you had not seen that original movie in so long, yeah, of course that will be more effective for you. But when you start to see it, you're like, yeah, they've already done this before.
Yeah.
And also,
I think for me,
yeah,
what hit the nail on the head for that in particular was when he wakes up the next day and he's like trying to talk to him and he's not there. I think that connected it together for me of like, okay, like this is really sad, but as we know with superhero stuff, they tend to find their way back. But then seeing him the next day where he's just not there, I think that kind of collectively like solidified that moment for me.
Yeah, I mean, I will definitely agree with that. I think that scene in particular was very effective because it's like, oh, he's not hearing the voice anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think any of us would feel the same way. You have this constant voice in your head, like a best friend essentially in your head constantly, and then he's gone, and then like you're just like talking to yourself. So like I feel like it captured that perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, and even they do the same thing in Venom: Let There Be Carnage when they finally split apart, and then the apartment is in shambles and it's completely destroyed. But the fact that the symbiote has moved on, that Eddie Brock is like literally laying down this apartment that's destroyed, and then he just goes, I don't hear him at all. But it was sort of like the polar opposite, where it's like, no, the second that he doesn't hear him, it's like, oh shit, yeah, your best friend is gone.
No, but I like the fact that they really drove home just like how like close that they are, like especially like when he was trying to not have the family be scared, that like he has the symbiote in him, he's like, my best friend is an alien, like he's not going to hurt you or whatever. And I was like, that was like sweet, like I like that, like him just kind of confirming like, yeah, this is my best friend and like he's the best.
Yeah and he's the best.
And he's the best. But overall,
and he really loved the chocolate.
Overall though, like a very messy series, entertaining at times, frustrating more so than anything else. But Tom Hardy, I think, always brought it. He was always committed, and I always got to commend him for that. But I'm also excited to see Tom Hardy in non-Venom movies again. I'm very excited about that. So also check out The Bike Riders if you haven't. He's great in that.
Oh, he's fantastic.
And, just to remind you that Tom Hardy can act his ass off. But overall, I'm going to give this one, I'm going to stick with the one I gave in my review. I'm going to give it 2 pints out of 5. So why would you cut to me at the end of that?
He's like, and that's all I have to say.
All right.
All right. What about you, Nancy? What would you give it?
I'm going to give it 2.5. It's just a little bit of a, hot mess express. So
ooh, I like that. A hot mess express.
Hot mess express. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like we've said it before, it is such a disappointing sequel in so many capacities, and the rewatch value on this is definitely low on my end. So I have to go with my gut and I have to give it a 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5 pints. It's just not memorable, and it's a very anticlimactic end to this character, and we deserved a lot better with this version of the movie, but yeah, it's not good.
And there you have it, folks. Venom, quite a bit of a letdown here, but let us know what you think of the movie if you've seen it down in the comments. Also, let us know what you think of the movies that are coming out for the rest of the year. Like, what are your most anticipated movies? Do you agree with some of our picks? Do you have others that maybe we didn't discuss? Let us know in the comments. And before we head on out, where can the fine people find you guys on the internet? Nancy and Andres, how about you, Nancy? Let's start with you.
You can find me at PL_Bandaid on Twitter and Instagram. Of course, you can find me here. Leave comments. I love comments. And every once in a while over on Cinemojis.
All right, Andres.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Galagos. You can also find me on twitch.tv as Galagos209. You can also find me and my buddy Steve. We're definitely releasing some more content on the High Voltage Media YouTube channel, so go check that out. And also, you can find me on Cinemojis, having just competed in the triple threat match, Halloween Havoc triple threat match with Adam Collins and Tiz. So yeah, that was a lot of fun to do, and it was a lot of whole fun to edit. So yeah, go check that one out. And also, you can find all of us here on the new YouTube page. So there you go. Oh yeah, be sure to go ahead and share it, guys. And also, don't forget to go over and like and subscribe over to Tom's channel as well, which he will plug in just a moment.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Andres. Well, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Tom Chattelbash, Facebook and YouTube at Chattelbash Reviews. And if Letterboxd is your thing, you can find me on there at T Chattelbash. Thank you guys for tuning into a brand new episode of Film on Tap. We hope you enjoyed this brand new episode. Make sure to give this video a nice thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, like Andres said. And we'll see you on the next episode of Film on Tap, where we've got the tap that never runs out. Have a good one, folks.
Bye.